Hi, guys. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to talk about what to do when the scale goes up. This one is super fun for me because there is so much opportunity for growth when the scale does go up that we completely ignore because we're too busy freaking out and judging ourselves for the scale having gone up. So, in this episode, we're going to really dive into all of the things. I'm going to give you a really nice step-by-step process so that you feel confident and comfortable when the scale goes up, like you feel like you are growing and moving forward and not doing what you've been doing when the scale goes up, because I guarantee you it doesn't work. It's not going to help with anything. So usually when the scale goes up, we go into this reaction response. We react with a restrictive diet. I used to be I'm only going to eat hard-boiled eggs, or I'm only going to have a smoothie. Or I'm cutting out sugar. I hear that one a lot too from clients, well, I'm just going to cut out sugar, or I'm only going to have grapefruit for a day. Or I used to skip events. I'd be I can't go to dinner, or I can't go do the thing because I have to be on this diet. And then I would probably sit home and eat anyways. super, super productive. But we usually give ourselves a lot of actions that we have to complete. So we see the scale go up. Okay, I'm going to cut out these foods. I'm only going to eat this. I'm going to go to the gym for 2 hours. I'm going to get in this many steps. And we give ourselves this nice to-do list that does not help us get anywhere. We usually can't follow through on the to-do list. And that's because looking at our actions only doesn't take our brain into account. It doesn't consider where actions come from, why we take actions. Every action that we take comes from a thought process. And so in equal measure, the actions that you're trying to take when the scale goes up, those are coming from a thought process, but also the actions that you took that caused the scale to go up came from a thought process. And so when we focus on this reacting to the scale going up, we're reacting with a new diet, we're reacting with this to-do list of actions that we have to complete, we are missing the real growth opportunity, which is why did the scale go up? What thought process caused the scale to go up? A lot of times we jump into judgment of the scale going up and of ourselves. We don't even look at the actions that we were taking. We just try to pretend that didn't exist, that didn't happen. Okay, I'm gonna forget about it. I'm gonna forget about everything that happened yesterday and everything that happened last week and all of that. And I'm just gonna do these things now, moving on. And we miss the growth. We miss the opportunity to learn why that happened, why we did that, so that we can permanently change it moving forward. That's what my program, what I do with my clients, is all about, is permanent change. We don't affect permanent change with a to-do list, with a list of actions that we have to complete. We only affect permanent change when we are able to see what happened in our brain, what thought process created the actions that we took, and then say, okay, I'm going to do this instead. Next time, I'm going to do this. When this pops up, I'm going to do this. That's how we change. That's how we change our brains, and that's how we lose weight permanently. We don't lose weight permanently with a to-do list of actions that we have to complete, because those actions aren't coming from a conscious thought process that we took the time to create. They're just coming from us judging ourselves, being mad that the scale went up, freaking out. That's not a permanent place of change. So what we miss is this focus on our brain. And there's a couple of very specific steps I take my clients through, I teach my clients to do. And that's what I'm going to talk you through today. So what you're doing now, we see the scale go up and we just go into panic mode. There's no assessment of why. What was the thought process that caused the scale to go up? We just go into judging ourselves. And like I said, it's kind of like this, it's not just a judgment, it's also ignoring everything that preceded the scale going up. Like, I'm not even going to look at it. I'm such a bad person. This is the worst thing that's ever happened. I don't want to even look at why the scale went up. I'm going to forget that the last week even happened. I'm terrible. And I'm just going to do this list of things now. And usually that's an extreme diet. Beating ourselves up mentally, cutting out foods, saying I'm only going to eat, XYZ for the next week or whatever, which maybe it lasts that first day. Maybe you can get through that first day. But beyond that, it usually doesn't last. And what usually happens is we just increase our desire for food because we're really not addressing our brain. We're not addressing what's behind those actions. We're kind of like trying to force them in, and we're not looking at what's going on in our brain at all, our thought processes. And we just increase our desire and it all kind of backfires. So judging ourselves, telling ourselves we're going to go on this extreme or restrictive diet, it does not lead to the result of the scale moving down. What it usually does, and it doesn't lead to any sort of actual weight rebound, any sort of growth for you, any sort of permanent learning and change. It just increases your desire for food. It also increases the amount of frustration that you have in terms of the effort that you're putting forward and the result that you're getting. So you're putting forward this effort of beating yourself up, going on this restrictive diet, giving yourself a really long to-do list of things that you have to complete in order to get the scale to go down, but then the scale doesn't go down. So you've put in all of this effort and nothing has changed. So many people I talk to, this is where they are. They're like, I've been putting in all of this effort and the scale doesn't change and I'm so frustrated. I'm like, yeah, that is frustrating. It's freaking really frustrating. And this is exactly why that's happening, because you're focusing on your actions. You're not focusing on your brain. You're not focusing on where those actions are coming from. And by giving yourself that to-do list of actions that you can't have all of these foods increases your desire for those foods. And there's no brain management happening, so you can't even get yourself to a place where you can like tamper that desire or work through cravings. And what I like to say is, like, when you swing the pendulum really far one way, all you're going to get is an equal swing in the opposite direction. So if you react to the scale going up with a restrictive diet, you're pulling that pendulum all the way up. And what it's going to do is just swing equally the opposite direction, which is a binge. What I want for everybody, for you listening to this podcast and for you to take away, is how to get the pendulum just at rest in the center. We want all of this to be neutral. We don't need to swing it at all. We don't need to react at all when the scale goes up. There's no reason to freak out. I actually this has come up so much lately. It's funny. Everything in coaching and weight loss, and like, I work with a lot of people. I have a huge amount of people in my program, and somehow they are always going through the same thing at the same time. It's the wildest thing. So lately this has been coming up with the scale like not moving the way we want it to move. And I had somebody on a discovery call the other day, and they're like, do you ever just not know why the scale goes up? I was like, no, I never don't know. I always know. She's like, what about mystery? hormonal issues. And I was like, nope, it's never happened. I'm not saying that it hasn't ever happened, but it has never happened where I don't know, where someone comes and they're like, this is my thought process. My brain is completely on board. Everything that I'm thinking aligns with the result of weight loss, but the scale went up. And I'm like, wow, that's a hormonal mystery. Nope, never happened to me with my clients. I always know. There's always a reason. And if it is truly hormonal, so for women, we have a cycle. If the scale goes up truly because of that cycle, there isn't a panic. You, as the person who's going through that cycle and stepping on the scale, seeing it go up, you're like, oh, I know exactly why this is. It's because of my cycle. It's not because of some mystery hormone. So even if it is hormonal, it's not a mystery and we don't freak out about it. But what it always is the thought process. Always the thought process. And actually this came up today on our coaching call. Was a couple of people were like, well, I've just hit this plateau in my weight. And so maybe my body is at this set point. The word set point and the word homeostasis in terms of weight came up a couple of times. Maybe my body is just at this weight that it's never going to leave. And it was so interesting because they would kind of throw that out there, but they were also saying like, well, the scale hasn't been moving. I've just given up. I'm not processing my urges. I'm not doing the work. I'm not checking in with my body. I'm not honoring my time, like all of those things. And then they'd be like, and maybe my body has just hit this homeostasis. Maybe I've just hit my set point. Nope. You just told me why your weight isn't moving. It's the result of all of those thoughts that you just gave me. And I would also like to offer that, yes, there is a place, I think, where our body will sit comfortably at a weight. However, 99% of where your weight is sitting is a result of how you're thinking. If you're coming to me for help, for guidance, your body is not sitting at this natural weight where it wants to be. You, my friend, are stuck in a thought process that is causing your weight to be stuck. That's what it is. You're not like, nobody who comes to me is like at this happy homeostasis weight. They're coming to me because they know that there's a thought process going on that they want to change and they don't know how to change it. And they need my help to change it. Your body has not hit its happy weight. And I told all of these people that I coached through this, let's lose the weight that you want to lose. Let's get your body to that weight, to your goal weight that you've set. And then we can decide if you would rather go back up to the weight that you're at now, which I guarantee you're not going to. You don't want to be here because your brain is still freaking out and it's causing your weight to be that. So we want it to get it to a place where it's not freaking out, where you have this beautiful, natural thought process that is causing this weight that feels very free and effortless. And then tell me that you want to go back up, which will mean going back to those old thought processes. What we want is this much more comfortable, freeing place in our brain. And that's when we know that our weight is sitting naturally. Anyways, so it is so interesting how these patterns arise. But what we do that isn't working is we go to this restriction. And this doesn't work because our brain isn't on board. Restriction is really an action that's caused by a thought process. And when we don't have our brain on board for that restriction, like if you came to me and you were like, I am cutting out sugar because I really want to. I love how I feel when I'm not eating sugar. I love the feeling of being able to say no to a cupcake, even though, I might want to eat it a little bit. I also really love like not doing that. I love how I feel in my body. My sleep's so much better. I love watching the scale go down. All of those things. I would say, yes, 100% cut out sugar. Your brain is on board. But when you come to me and you say, the scale went up, I'm freaking out, I think I should just cut out sugar. I haven't been able to get past this weight for a while. I'm really worried that something's going wrong. And I think if I just cut out sugar, maybe I'll be able to figure this out. Then no, that is restriction. You are just choosing this action of restriction, but your brain is not on board. You just told me all of these thoughts that don't align with you actually successfully cutting out sugar. What you're going to get, because your thoughts are centered so much around panic and worry and I don't know if I can do that, like doubt, what you're going to create, what your result is going to be, is a scale continuing to go up. You continuing to not honor your body. You continuing to not do the work consistently to change your brain. You continuing to ignore what's actually causing the result of the scale going up. So just throwing out this restrictive action of I'm going to cut out sugar is not going to help with anything. It's going to make it worse. We can't focus on that because you're missing the point. The point is that your brain isn't on board. And so as soon as you try to implement that action, we're going to swing that pendulum all the way to the other side and we're going to get a binge. And guess what happens when we restrict and binge? Our weight goes up and down and up and down, and it never really moves anywhere consistently. It doesn't go down. It just goes up and down and up and down, and it stays the same, or it slowly creeps up. Skipping events does not work. We're trying to, again, change the action without changing our brain. It's not the event that's causing you or going to cause you to overeat. It's your brain. It's how you're thinking about the event. If you tell me, I am going to skip this event because I am really worried about what I'm going to eat there, and I just feel like I'm not going to be able to control myself, and I'm going to want to eat what everyone else is eating, and I just can't stand to face the scale again tomorrow, having gone up. Your brain's not on board. And I guarantee if you skip the event and stay at home, you're going to eat just as much as you would if you'd gone to the event. It's not the event, it's your brain. So if you get to your brain to a place where it's like, I am 100% committed to the plan that I built for myself around food at this event. I'm committed to processing every single urge and craving and desire to eat something that's not on that plan when I'm at the event. I'm committed to letting other people see that I'm not doing what they're doing and letting them judge me and have that judgment of me, and I don't care. Your brain is on board to go to that event and have the scale go down tomorrow. 100%. It's not the event, it's how you're thinking about it. And then editing your actions, cutting out foods, saying that you're going to go to the gym for a long time, it doesn't last. These actions aren't coming from a thought pattern that's going to create them consistently and create them in a way that feels good for you. In my example of the two thought patterns around cutting out sugar, one of them is going to create cutting out sugar and having that feel really good. Physically, mentally, emotionally, cutting out that sugar, that's going to feel good. You're going to feel at peace. You're going to feel confident and certain and calm and like you know how to do this. And then one of them trying to cut out sugar, you're going to create more doubt and worry and anxiety and overwhelm. So you have to get the thought process behind that action in line before you can actually do it. And when we just say, I'm just going to cut out these things, I'm just going to go to the gym, we don't address what's going on behind the scenes, we will not be successful. We will put in a lot of effort and not see the scale go down, and we'll just get frustrated about it. We'll give up, which isn't fun for anyone. Okay, so the actual problem is that when the scale goes up, reacting to it doesn't identify what the reason that the scale goes up. There's no growth there. You're keeping the pendulum swinging. You're reacting to the scale with a restrictive diet, and it's just going to swing all the way to the other side and result in a binge, and that pendulum is just going to keep swinging. Okay, so let's just get into what you need to do when the scale goes up. So these are the 3 steps that you need to focus on to actually affect change with the scale, to see the scale go up and feel confident and empowered to have it go back down again. This is how you really actually need to react to the scale going up. But I don't even mean react. I mean like, because I think of reaction as such like a knee jerk. Like I'm not going to put any like intentional thought behind this. I'm just going to freak out and panic and react to it. So this is what you actually need to do if the scale goes up. So we need to first and foremost identify why. And I don't just mean that like identifying why, oh, because I ate so bad. That's not identifying why. What caused you to eat the things that you ate? Why? So I ask this all the time in coaching. You know, the scale went up. I don't know what to do. I'm like, okay, why did the scale go up? Well, I ate this and I ate that. I'm like, yeah, I hear that that's the action that you took. Why did you take that action? What caused that action? What was the thought process behind that? What was the emotional state behind that? What were you thinking? What were you feeling that led to that? A lot of times I will just tell my clients, don't give me any actions. I don't want any verbs. It's not what you ate. I don't need a list of foods. I only want to know what you were thinking and you were feeling that caused that action. So when the scale goes up, when you step on the scale and it goes up, and your brain just goes to panic and freak out and judgment, back it up. What was I thinking and feeling yesterday or the last week that caused the scale to go up? What was that? I'm going to focus on that. So we want to identify why. Why did it go up? What was the thought process behind that? And then we're going to ask these 3 really powerful questions. This is something I teach my clients to take themselves through every day, at least once a week. These 3 questions. What worked? What didn't work? And what are you going to do differently next time? Isn't that so simple? They're such neutral questions. There's no room for you judging yourself in those questions. What worked? Something always worked is what you'll find. Even if the scale went up. Thinking back to yesterday or the week that led up to the scale going up. What worked? You did something that was working. What didn't work? Going into panic mode, judging myself, telling myself that I was gonna cut out sugar forever. That didn't work. What am I gonna do differently next time? And really focusing on those three things, giving yourself the opportunity to make this nice, clean plan and a place to kick off from, a place to start from that isn't a to-do list. And then the third one, number 3. So once you have identified what was a thought process that caused the scale to go up, what have I been doing? What worked the last week or day? What didn't work? What do I want to do differently moving forward? Identifying those, then we're going to get into our, like, what are we doing today? Our action for today. So I am allowing you an action in this. And this is the most simple thing. It's always what I recommend. And it also keeps the pendulum at neutral. We're not jumping into a restrictive diet. We're not going to swing it all the way to the other side where we have a binge. We're going to keep it super simple and super neutral. There's only one thing that we have to do. And that is allow your body to get to physical hunger before you eat. I love it. It's so simple. And it's really the only thing that's going to help your body process through everything that it just ate, process through all of that sugar and water and salt and like gunk that it has to process out. Once it's done processing that and it's ready to be fueled again, it will let you know with physical hunger. It's kind of like we sometimes want to, imagine if you're like, just a very simplistic way of thinking about this, but imagine that you're driving your car and you had like, I don't even know, you had experienced like you ran out of gas on the highway and you freaked out. And so you put gas in your car, you fill it all the way up. And then you just like continue to top it off. Like every gas station you drive by, your tank is still full. You're just like continuing to add fuel. Like, oh, I'll just stop in here and I'll get another couple cents. Like we kind of do that with our body. We like all of a sudden start to micromanage our body. So if our hunger level is our fuel tank and like our fuel meter telling us like, okay, I'm ready to be fueled. I'm on E and you can go ahead and fuel me now. Like we completely ignore that. We just try to micromanage it. Like I know better than what this fuel tank is telling me. If I don't just continue to fill this thing up, God forbid I could run out of gas again. Like that's not going to happen. We can't micromanage what the fuel tank meter. We can't micromanage our body. We have to allow it to get to reset. And how we do that is with physical hunger. This is the most powerful thing that you can take away from today's podcast. The only thing that you should do for your body to get it back to feeling really good is to allow it to get physically hungry. And that's it. And anything outside of that, any urge to eat, any desire to put something in your mouth. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's lunchtime. I should just go ahead and have the thing. It's, I could starve to death on my way home today if I don't have lunch. Those are all urges and cravings that you have to process. Only thing you have to do is wait until you get physically hungry. That's it. That will allow your body to get everything out that it needs to get back to homeostasis, and for you to get back to feeling physically good. And it's the first step. Well, it's the third step to having that scale start to go back down again. Okay. So thank you so much for tuning in today. If you are interested in working with me, what I do is discovery calls. So book your call. The purpose of this is to show you personally, for you to take this time to discover personally what's been going on for you. that is causing you to be at a weight that you don't want to be at. And I will tell you what needs to be done in order to see that scale start moving down again. So this discovery call is meant to be an eye-opening time that you take for yourself. A lot of times we think we don't need it. We ignore ourselves in this way. We like, I can figure this out. Like, I don't need to take time for myself. Take some time for yourself and get to the bottom of this. That's what the call is for. And if the program is right for you, if what I do with my clients is going to help you, we'll talk about that. But highly encourage you to take this time for yourself and really discover what's been going on for you that is causing you to be at a weight that you don't want to be at, to eat things that you don't want to eat. So you can book this call at bit.ly/call with Hayley. That's bit.ly/call with Hayley. And my name is spelled Hayley. Okay. I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.